If your female dog was male, or the other way around, would they have a much different personality? Or have a different attitude towards you? According to science, girl dogs in particular have some very peculiar traits. In this video, we're going to be looking at 8 fun facts that are true only about female dogs. In 2023, keepers at Potawatomi Zoo in Indiana were faced with the problem of 3 endangered African painted dog puppies, whose mother had abandoned them. Left to their own devices, the pups would starve. But if staff took them in and bottle-fed them, then they risked losing their canine instincts, making it more difficult to integrate them into the main pack as adults. Enter Kassy, a golden retriever with a litter of her own, who was chosen to adopt the 3 puppies, named Red, Orange, and Blue, and raise them alongside her own babies. Amazingly, even though painted dogs split away from the rest of their canine cousins back in the last ice age, and aren't even part of the same genus as domestic dogs, meaning that they can't interbreed, Kassy was still able to go nurse her new babies on the same milk she fed her own pups. An even stranger case occurred in Argentina in 2008, when a human baby was abandoned at birth by a panicked teenage mother, and later turned up nestled alongside the wriggling puppies of a mother dog named La China. It was later determined that La China had heard the infant crying and carried him 50 meters to take him home to look after. La China's owner rushed the baby to the nearest hospital, where he received the medical care he needed. So there you have it. Female dogs who have puppies will often end up going a bit overboard with the maternal instinct. It's not unusual for mama dogs to end up adding orphans and foundlings to their litters, even if those adoptees aren't the same species as the rest of the family. Female and male dogs will often relate to humans slightly differently. Although, of course, every dog is different, and variations between individual dogs will be much more distinct than any difference between genders. One study presented dogs with an impossible task to solve, while either their owner or a strange human looked on. If the human in the room was their owner, then both male and female dogs were equally likely to turn to them for help when it became clear that they couldn't solve the problem on their own. But if the human was a stranger, then female dogs were significantly more likely than male dogs to look to them for help. This suggests that female dogs are more comfortable with humans in general and are more trusting of strangers. Despite this, other studies have shown that female dogs seem to be less tolerant of humans in a more social setting. They're less likely to enjoy hands-on play with humans like wrestling and demand less physical affection. One of the main benefits of having a female dog over a male is that you're likely to have them for longer. Like with most mammals, including humans, girl dogs tend to live longer than boys. On average, a female dog will live 2.4 years longer than her brothers, and spaying your dog, an operation that involves removing the reproductive organs to prevent pregnancy and reduce some problematic behaviors, can increase her lifespan by an additional 26%. Not only do female dogs live longer than males, but they also mature earlier. This means that they'll usually drop their puppyish behaviors earlier than their brothers, making them easier to train at an earlier age. Studies have shown that female dogs tend to be less aggressive than males. Specifically, male dogs are 6 times more likely to bite than female dogs. The reason for this can be traced back to their wild, wolfish ancestors. Scientists have discovered that male wolves will often get into fights with each other over mates or territory, while female wolves tend to stay back and be much more chill than their male peers. This is essentially because, from an evolutionary perspective, fighting with your own species is kind of a waste of energy. You're unlikely to gain anything that's worth the risk of being potentially killed or seriously injured. Making puppies also takes a lot of energy, so female wolves tend to stay out of fights and conserve their energy for that. Essentially, they have more important things to do. One of the major differences between wolves and dogs, aside from their love of humans and the ability to do fun tricks on command, is that dogs don't usually live in packs anymore. Though feral dogs who don't have owners will usually form packs with other strays, pet dogs tend to be 1 or 2 to a home. Your dog likely considers their human family members to be sort of like their pack. But that still poses a problem for intact male or female dogs who fancy finding a partner. When they're ready to mate, female dogs will go into heat, releasing a pheromone scent to let any males in the area know that she's available. She'll then stay put while any interested males come to her. This means that intact or unneutered male dogs tend to wander easily. Even if they're not currently aware of any nearby female in heat, they still feel driven to travel further afar to look for one. Female dogs don't have this same drive and are therefore significantly less likely to run away from home. Possibly because they don't have this roaming instinct, studies have shown that female dogs are also more cautious and easily startled than males. When presented with scary stimuli, like loud noises, female dogs were more likely to get distracted or scared than their male counterparts. Male dogs, meanwhile, were quicker to approach new things. Your dog isn't a bird, but if she's expecting puppies, then you might notice her engaging in a behavior called nesting. This is when your dog starts trying to prepare a nice, cozy den for her to have her babies in. Nesting dogs will often grab soft things from around the house, like pillows and blankets, and gather them in a safe, out-of-the-way location. Unfortunately, they might also shred these things in an attempt to make the nest more comfy. On top of this, you may catch them digging in the yard, trying to create a depression in the ground, and possibly dragging the shredded blankets into it. What if your dog starts engaging in nesting behaviors, even though you know that there's no way she could be preggers? Did she get out somehow and meet a male dog? Or are you about to welcome the next canine messiah? Well, although your pet is unlikely to reproduce via virgin birth, unspayed dogs do sometimes experience something called a phantom pregnancy. So, a ghost knocked up your pup? No. Phantom pregnancy is when the body exhibits some of the symptoms, such as a swollen belly and the beginnings of lactation. But there's no actual bun in the oven. This can unfortunately be very confusing for your girl. Though the physical symptoms might subside on their own, she may struggle to understand that she wasn't actually pregnant. Some dogs who go through phantom pregnancies may even spend time looking for their missing puppies, not realizing that they never gave birth. Phantom pregnancies will occasionally occur in spayed females if the operation happened too soon after heat, but are considerably rarer. Although male dogs tend to be more aggressive, female dogs are often more emotionally reactive, especially if they haven't been spayed. This is because of the hormonal changes that come with their heat cycle. Unspayed females will often be territorial around other female dogs and may get irritable or show signs of anxiety during their heat. After heat, even if they didn't have a litter, some dogs will still develop maternal instincts and may start aggressively guarding toys or other animals that they have adopted as their babies. Other than being overly protective over a toy or two, there's no creature more loving and loyal than a dog. Male or female, your pooch will put up with a lot of things you do that cause them severe mental distress without showing any signs of upset. In this video, we'll pick through 8 things you do that your dog secretly, but totally hates.